We'll see. All right.
Now is it better?
It looks like it sounds like it's blowing out now.
Yeah, you're overdriving it a little bit.
But we are live now.
All right. I think
That's better.
okay.
Okay. Cool. All right. So just to catch up everyone that's watching Go Meta for a minute, Satya has joined the group. We were thinking about canceling Entre Programmers, but got some emails, decided to add some new blood and try to. Well, I guess we'll try to keep it to an hour or two so it doesn't spill into the take over the whole day. But it's good, I think.
Yep. Very cool. So I'm curious because I don't know you, Satya. Do you want to introduce yourself? And
Sure. So I'm an entrepreneur. I started out actually back in 2007. My first company was a venture-backed company. My thoughts were different at that time. So I did my PhD from University of California, San Diego. And right after right after graduating, I started a company with my PhD advisor, which was a virtual makeover for women. So women could upload their own picture and apply makeup virtually. And that company I made $0 million from. And it was a classic VC play. It should have been a really big success, but we made some really bad business choices and the company did not do very well. It shut down after 11 years of operation last year, or actually early this year, January. So, but I had stepped down as the CTO of the company way back, like about 4 years back. And I started my own consulting business. And right now I'm I'm the owner of that consulting business. And we have three different parts to the business. The first one is I do AI consulting. And the second one is I do, we also do courses. So as part, it's like we are selling our byproduct, whatever we learn from the consulting business, we do online courses to sell it as well. And then the final part is something that I don't work on actively. It is completely passive. It is a data collection and Photoshop business that fell on my lap because my old company shut down. So I have a manager who manages that part of the business. I'm not really involved, but it kind of runs itself. So that's the uh, little introduction about myself.
nice. We just finalized details on a new podcast about machine learning. So,
oh wow, that's great.
Yeah.
There you go. You might have a good new panelist.
Yeah, we're still looking for one or two more people. So,
Sure.
but yeah, that's really cool. And yeah, it's interesting to see where AI is going these days. So,
It's everywhere.
yeah.
So I like to say that, 5 years back, not 5 years back, even 10 years back, an engineer without programming skills is pretty much useless. The same will happen with engineers without AI skills in, say, 5 years or so, that you do need some basic skills in AI, without which you're not really a programmer.
Yeah. It seems like that's becoming the building block that's required, right? It's like because so many things are based on and built on that now, right? It's like all the new technology, all the latest technologies, from self-driving cars to, it's no longer we're solving the traveling salesman problem, right? It's like we're figuring out a neural network and having the computer figure out what the algorithm is. So,
yeah, I mean, some industries are a little slower to adopt technology.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think once more and we see more and more companies or more industries showing the promise of AI, more and more other companies will start to adopt it.
Yeah,
because it'll be a massive advantage to get there before others. So yeah, it's interesting. And yeah, that's why I'm starting a show now. is just because I see within the next few years it's going to be a huge industry. And most of the AI and machine learning shows out there, they talk more on sort of the consumer and manager level, and I wanted to talk about it on the developer level. And so it's, hey, how do you integrate with it? What tools are out there and how do you build against them? How do you program them? Things like that, so that, yeah, developers can get in and take advantage of that knowledge and be ahead of the curve that way. So,
Yeah. Yep.
Very cool.
So are you guys getting the iPhone 11?
Yeah, I think so. I'm on that plan. It just upgrades. It is one of the few luxuries in my life that I.
Oh, the Apple iPhone upgrade plan.
Yeah.
I pay a fixed amount every month, and I'm eligible for upgrade whenever it comes along.
I think I'm finally going to enroll in that now and upgrade because it comes with the Apple Care as well. And I cracked my screen on my iPhone 10 and it's just a hassle. At first, what I was doing was I was buying the newest iPhone cash, and then I'd usually keep it for 2 years unless I really want to upgrade the next year. And then I'd sell the old one and buy the new one. And basically with tax deductions and whatnot, I'd come out ahead. But then I don't know, it's just too much of a hassle, I think, to try and sell your old phone and to go and buy the new one. I think the upgrade program probably makes more sense.
Right.
All I have to say is that means that I'm going to be able to get an iPhone 10 at a discount because I currently have the iPhone 7 Plus. So
what do you mean?
I tend to buy used phones and just use those. So yeah, all the iPhone 10s are going to go on sale.
Exactly. Yeah, that's true.
I'm cheap. I'm sorry.
If it weren't for the camera, the only reason why I upgrade, good reason to upgrade to the Pro for this one is because of the camera. So it's like the camera.
Yeah, they have like 3 lenses and all that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or 3 cameras, I think. Yeah. Yeah, that did look pretty nice.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Yeah, I'm gonna jump on the upgrade program. $56 a month. I think that's worth it. Or $60 a month, I guess. Not that bad.
Yep. Sounds good. So anything in particular we want to jump on or talk about? How's the transition going, John?
I have to actually get back with the lawyer. It looks like it's going pretty smooth. There was a couple of things like you have to charge interest on a installment loan for purchasing a company. Oh yeah, Satya, we talked about what we're talking about is I remember when we were talking about the potential to buy out. So so I did do the buyout. So I'm buying Simple Programmer back for $200,000.
Oh, that's really nice. Basically. Is it in one shot or over a period of time?
Over a period of time, over like 30 months. So so it works out to be pretty good. I think it's a win-win for Josh and I don't know if I was, I think we're okay saying the amount now. I don't know. Anyway,
I hope so. It's live on YouTube, so
that's it. So so anyway, yeah, no, I think it works out to be a win-win for both of us because Josh gets to get the money for the next 30 months, and while he's building up his other business and doing his stuff, and the transition is pretty smooth there. And then it's a win for me because obviously I get back the ownership of the company, and and I actually make some money by not paying distributions to him from the company, just paying my
right.
So yeah, so I think that's good. So I just had a lawyer drop the contract. Pretty simple. I think it only cost me a couple $100, and Josh looked at it, approved it, and yeah, there's some complexities with the law of having to charge some interest, some nominal interest rate, which we just basically, the lawyer was actually pretty smart because they were like, oh, it needs to be like 4% interest, and then he was like, in the actual agreement that he wrote up, he's like, the sum is this amount, which includes the interest. So we don't have to calculate how much of it is, you know what I mean? Like, and do all that. So I was like, okay, that's a pretty smart approach to it. Like that fits the So yeah, so just I think on Monday is the date for the target transition. So I just have to get that document, just a small update to it. Josh has approved it, and we'll sign it, and then pretty much that'll be it. I'll and as far as the transition, actually, I went through last week with Josh, or I guess the week before I left, and we went over all the things that he was doing, and really there wasn't a lot left. Like for Simple Programmer, he was answering a few emails, which Rodrigo's handling most of that. He was handling a few sponsorship deals, and then he was doing the affiliate deals. That was the biggest thing that Josh was doing, was the affiliate promotions. And so I actually reached out to a guy I knew from Barcelona. I'm trying to think where I met him, in an entrepreneur group in Barcelona. He was just killing it in email marketing, but he does email marketing for e-commerce stores. So he put me in touch with a guy that did the affiliate deals and email marketing for a guy, RSD Max's Natural program, and a bunch of like a lot of programs that are kind of in the pickup, like RSD kind of communities, which they're doing a lot of affiliate deals, obviously. But I talked to him, and he was just like, he knew what he was doing really well. So what I did was I hired him to work mostly off a commission on to run Simple Programmer Affiliate. I basically told him, I was like, look, this is what I'm looking for, is I need someone to run all the affiliate promotions. We're doing about one a month right now. This is what Josh is doing, has been doing. These are our affiliates that we've used in the past. We do, somewhere between 20 to 60K in sales on a lot of these, on revenue. And so yeah, so he took a look at the drip account and everything, so that it's, he knows what he's working with. And yeah, he agreed to do it. So I'm basically paying him like a small flat fee, and then an 8% commission on all of the affiliate sales which come in. So for me,
8% of the net
yeah, yeah, exactly, 8% of the net. Yeah,
that you guys make.
Yeah. So that's a pretty good deal for me. I think it's he had an alternative to do like just a bigger flat fee, and I was like, no, I want you to have some skin in the game here. I want you to benefit. Let's kill it and get you paid a lot more money.
How much was the base he was asking for?
I don't know if
Oh, you don't want to disclose.
I was trying to say, like, I don't know if I want to give his prices out, because he might.
But how much was the range you were exploring?
A couple of grand
per month.
Yeah.
So that's like the retainer, and then there's remaining.
Yeah. So for him to launch, to manage the affiliate launches, I think will be worth it. Plus he has affiliates that already, because he's got connections, right? He's been doing this. So actually one of his connections is Agrora Financial. So, and they want to do an affiliate deal with us. So that's some pretty big. That's like the biggest actual direct marketing company in the world, I believe.
Yeah, they are.
And they've got a bunch of properties. So I think this will work out really well. So in the net effect for me with Simple Programmer will be that I'll have 100% ownership of the company again, and I will have an affiliate manager that is mostly working on commission, and he will be able to run everything from talking with the affiliates to writing the emails, creating any kind of landing pages and stuff like that we need. And that's the plan. And so if that works out, then I'm hoping that, since he's dedicated to this, he'll be able to generate higher revenues than Josh was able to, doing it, kind of part-time-ish. And and now I'll have some that I'm paying based on commission, which makes a lot of sense for me. Did you guys have a call yet, Manny, about doing the promotion for this month?
I did, and actually, I want to talk to you about it right now. Do you guys want to do promotion this month for entrepreneurship or next month for leadership? Because I was asking him, hey, do you want to do something in October as well, or are you doing one? In which case, I'd prefer you do leadership rather than entrepreneurship, because you guys would probably do better with that.
Well, we can always do another one down the line. What I'd like to do is definitely get one this month because I don't have one lined up this month.
Okay.
And I want one especially with an affiliate that I know will do
Okay.
at least decent with, and I know that your stuff will
Yeah.
do well. So but then next month I don't want to do back to back of the same, right?
Okay.
It won't be beneficial.
So you definitely want to do something this month, and then maybe we'll see something later,
yeah, and then we'll do something later. So
a few months down the line. In which case, the question is there a specific topic you want to do, or do you just want to do the? Because we've done mental toughness once, we've done productivity, I think twice, we've done social skills once, and we have entrepreneurship coming up. Which one do you want to do?
which one do you think will do the best? Or I guess
I'm not clear on how big your entrepreneurial audience is. It sounds like it is big, but it's hard for me to fathom right now. Like, what do you think is the size of that? Because productivity is one that we can always go to, maybe with a new angle and make it happen. But the others are like, I mean, mental toughness too, but entrepreneurship is one I'm not sure how big a market you have on that front.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure on the simple programmer list. I'm inclined to say let's go with the productivity just because we know that that's going to be a win, and I'd like to start off with a win.
Okay. Yeah. Entrepreneurship, we just don't know if it's the email writers or like it can introduce a variable that we just don't know enough about. While productivity is definitely no variable involved. We can do it. We can do it.
Yeah,
it'll be fine.
Okay.
All right. What is the? Did you give him a timeline for when you want to execute on it, or which week?
I think the last week of September.
Okay.
Is the goal. So obviously as soon as we could actually get it done, but
it'll take us a couple of weeks to figure all out. So
yeah, and that's all that we've got is a couple of weeks. So but you talked to him, right?
I did talk to him. I had a phone conversation with him, and he seemed to be a pretty cool guy. And but he also didn't know which way you were thinking about the whole, like which course and which course not to. So that's why I wanted to talk to you before we move forward with anything. The other thing there's another productivity course I have. I'm wondering if we can change the angle this time and sell that one and sell the summaries as a bump. But again, that'll introduce a new variable.
Yeah.
Because it's called Double Your Productivity by 5 p.m. tomorrow. So it's a very step-by-step process, but it's not book summaries. So that changes things as well.
Yeah, I would say do the book summaries and then bump the other.
Yeah.
We have it. A good apples to apples.
So then the question is, which one is usually a better bump? Now this is probably not even a question for, this is almost a test rather than a question. Would we do better if we had mental toughness as the front-end product and productivity upsells as a back-end upsells and bumps and all those things? Or would we do better if we had productivity book summaries and then how to double your productivity by 5 p.m. tomorrow and then never procrastinate again, and like a bunch of productivity courses, like front-end book summaries and then productivity 1 upsell, productivity 2 upsell, compared to mental toughness front end and then productivity 1 upsell, productivity 2 upsell. See what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think starting with the productivity would make sense because the people that are interested in productivity are going to be productivity junkies mostly, which they'll want to collect a bunch of stuff and buy a bunch of things.
Yeah.
So.
And the pricing, we've always done $29. Should we stick with that or try a higher price point?
I think I would defer to Fritz. Like you guys should work that out and decide.
We could do a split, but then it has to be done properly.
I kind of want Fritz to I kind of don't want to dictate much to him.
Okay.
I want him to, figure out how he wants to run this and give him kind of full reign on what, even if he says, oh no, let's do the entrepreneurship one. Like, if it's my opinion is the productivity, but I'd rather give him as much range as possible to do what he wants to do, so that he's not constricted.
Is he going to write new emails now, or is he going to use the stuff from Josh in the past?
I'm pretty sure he's going to write new emails.
Okay.
So I'm not giving him 8% for not doing anything. Right.
Well, those can be the controls to see, 50% get this email, 50% get that email, to see which one pulls better.
Yeah.
But that I'll leave to you.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it doesn't even really matter to me as long as he gets the results. Like my whole goal with this entire thing is like, okay, I want to replace the thing that Josh has been doing that's been the most valuable thing for the ongoing for the company that's generating us revenue, and replace it with someone that can do that on a commission basis. So as long as that goal is achieved, I'm good.
All right, I'll have another call with him and figure it out.
Yeah.
What's up with the green screen? How come, John, you don't have a green screen today? Everyone else has a green screen.
I do. Yeah, I do have a green screen. This is my fake background. It looks like my office. I took a picture of my office, and then I've got the green screen up, and now, yeah, that's what
We had a podcast guest that did that. He was like, check this out. And he set his background to himself sitting at his desk. He's like, this is my background for meetings.
Did they have like a separate version of himself in the background?
Yeah, it was a picture of himself sitting at his desk. So he like ducked down and.
Oh, nice.
It's like, I can take a nap.
It's like, I think your video is frozen.
Yeah.
Well, you can actually have, there are these software that act like a camera, and you can actually have a video recording that plays.
Oh, there you go. See
so
you scratch your face periodically.
Yeah, I did a prank with one of my friends. So we were in different rooms, but in a conference call. And I turned on this video and I walked up to him and he said, what's going on? Because I was there on two videos. Like I was live right next to him. And I was also there in the video.
Nice. I have a question about the green screens. I think I mentioned this earlier, but I've been playing with this one, and it's been kind of hard to get set up because it's hanging on this thing behind me. But I mean, do I have to have it lit right? And then I've kind of gathered that it has to be pretty uniform, and then I have to be pretty uniform in my lighting. But the thing that I'm running into now is like when I try and run the virtual background on Zoom, like it bleeds over into me.
Right.
And so would that be fixed with lighting, or is it just because Zoom's algorithm isn't great and I need to just, put whatever background I'm going to have in there in post?
Well, so the lighting is crucial, that you need to have uniform lighting. Otherwise, it puts a lot of pressure on the software, right? Then the software needs to be very good. But usually, if the lighting is very good, then you don't have to you don't have to worry about the software being very good. So yes, uniform lighting, also wrinkle out. I mean, I prefer this kind of setup, which is a pop-up.
Yeah.
Always straight.
I just ordered one of those on Amazon because I'm tired of fussing with this thing.
Yeah, it's actually great. The product is pretty good. I forgot the name of it, but
I think we got the same one. It's
right.
Yeah, because
starts with E, evolved or something.
Yep,
like
that's
that.
the one I got.
Okay.
In a world
Elgato green
everyone
screen.
is going green
Elgato,
screen.
yeah.
Well, the reason that I'm getting it is that I'm kind of embracing, and I've fought this for a long time, but I'm embracing the Chuck has to sell sponsorships. And so I want to be able to do videos, but I don't want, like, if there's a mess behind me or, the closet door. I don't love the closet doors behind me and stuff like that.
Right.
The other thing is I could have a little bit of fun with it, right? So I enjoy Star Wars and things like that. And so, I have no problem doing a serious, here's how you sponsor a podcast video
Yeah.
with a Star Wars theme behind me or something, and just give it a little bit of
Right.
character. So
Right.
it lets me do both. The other thing is that I kind of want to do a little bit of like, I've seen some people where they do the green screen and they're like this and this, and I don't want to do any of that, but it'd be nice to be able to like change up, some of the things that they're seeing visually when I'm talking.
Right.
As
So
I'm talking
the
through it.
best green screens are when they don't notice, and you can have different backgrounds based on what you're talking about and things like that. But even having a uniform background like an office setup it
Yep.
looks professional. The only thing with green screen is that as long as your hands are within your body, it does a very good job. If you're moving your hands and it's outside the body, then that's when for the algorithm it is a very tough case.
Okay. That's good to
Because
know.
of motion blur. Yeah, because of motion blur, the amount of green is not there to make a good segmentation, but at the same time it is visible very easily. So moving your hands outside the body, that's when it does a bad job.
Okay. That's good to know.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then I guess the other question I have is, so can I record it? Because I have a Nikon camera, DSLR camera that I'd probably do the work with. Should I just record it and then add the background in after when I'm editing, or
That's
is
what
that generally the way it's done?
Yeah. Use Camtasia or something, and
Yeah.
you could easily remove the background.
All right. Sounds good.
Yeah, and it may look like a little bit, when I first started it, I was not very confident that, I'll record this long video and it may not work. But once you have the setup nailed, then you don't have to worry about it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I have a couple of lights. I have, I think, what I need. I just need to figure out how to make it all do what I want.
Okay.
But I've decided that related to all of this, so since I'm embracing the salesman part of things, I'm finding that there are a couple of things that really gets people's attention. And once I start having the conversation with them, then they're more apt to want to buy advertising. So the things that I'm going to do differently are, one, I'm going to just offer them a YouTube demo up front, right? So it's, hey, look, let me check out your product. Let me demo it on YouTube, have one of your engineers walk through it with me. And that way, if they pick up any traction off of it whatsoever that they can track, then I'll have them coming back to me to sponsor the shows. The other thing is that it opens up that dialogue, and so I can just follow up with them. Then I have them in my follow-up sequence for selling sponsorships. And the other thing that I'm going to be doing is the same thing at conferences. So I figured out at RxJS Live exactly how I need to have things set up. So yeah, I have a wireless mic now that I just interview people with. And at the conferences that I've gone to in the past, especially the big ones, man, they love that. They absolutely eat it up. And then they'll put me in touch with their marketing folks and, oh yeah, let us know when it's live. And here's how we'll let the whole office know. And anyway, so if I can get the conversation going one of those two ways, and I'm planning on just having like a channel where I drop a product demo / review every week.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'll just offer it to them. And basically what it'll be is, well, I'll get you into my queue. If you want to be at the front of my queue, you can, basically pay to jump the line. But it opens up that possibility. And then, hopefully I can get developers to be watching it and saying, oh, yeah, I need to set up CI and this makes it look really easy. Or, I need to learn more about Kubernetes and I could go use this cloud provider or whatever.
Right.
Interesting.
Yep. And then if they don't want to sponsor, then I'll lean on them pretty hard to give me an affiliate deal of some kind.
Yep.
Oh, green screens. You guys see my green screen in the background?
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks just like your office.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the point. That's why I'm using green screens effectively, because
That's right. You can't even tell.
You can't tell. That's the whole point.
Yeah. But yeah. But yeah, I also got things finalized with I got the final contract with Clean Coders with all the changes that they wanted. So I think that's probably going to start coming to fruition soon. And I was waiting on that for Kent Beck as well with his show. So
Okay,
we're
nice.
probably going to have those two shows ramping up probably end of September, beginning of October. And then the machine learning show will start recording on a week from today.
Is it an interview format? You're going to call people and talk to them?
So it depends on the show. The Clean Coder show, we're going to be talking to authors that produce content for Clean Coders. Probably interspersed fairly regularly with talking to Bob Martin. And then Kent and his friend Keith, who are both terrific guys, they kind of want to talk about their sort of random interests along with software architecture. And I mean, you know, I'm like, just talk about whatever you want.
Right.
And so we're going to produce the show for them and work out, you know, the details there. And then the machine learning show is like most of the rest of our shows, where we have a panel of people that are experts that work in AI day in and day out. And we bring in experts from the community and talk about, you know, what they're doing and how they're doing it, and, you know, all of those things. So, you know, somebody who's written a library or invented an algorithm or, you know, has a new technique for doing UI, or, you know, whatever is what we kind of do for all the other shows. So
That's great.
But yeah, so things are looking good there. And then I promoted one of my show notes writers, so she's full-time doing digital marketing stuff for us now, mostly social media. But yeah, she's doing social media and a little bit of SEO. So that's been really good this week. She's kind of getting her hands around everything that I've been fighting with to get that stuff done. So
Yeah.
Because I really want to get on a solid growth trajectory. We kind of have one already, just out of word of mouth, but I'd kind of like to push it ahead a little bit more. So, yeah. So one thing that I did want to bring up and just ask you guys what your opinion was. And Satya, maybe I should just explain a little bit of what I do and how I do it. So I run a podcast network for software developers. We currently produce about 20 shows every week. I'm a host on, I think, 5 of the shows. I've been instrumental in starting almost all of them, either as a host initially or just, you know, pulling the people together to make it run. But yeah, the way that I do my planning is, and most of our revenue comes in as advertising revenue.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm gearing up to plan out basically Q4, you know, what I want to get done in Q4. I don't plan in years. It's just too long. I read a book called The 12-Week Year, and I kind of follow their program. So I'm trying to figure out what all I should put in there for this quarter.
Okay.
So we've kind of had the SEO focus this quarter. We've had, you know, some of the other marketing and social focus this quarter, and getting some of these shows together, which looks like it's going to happen just, you know, just after the 12-week year ends. So yeah, so
these 20 shows, they are weekly shows or?
Yeah, they're
once a
all
week?
weekly.
Okay. But you still have to produce like 20 hours of content. Is that right?
More or less.
Okay.
You know, whatever gets recorded, you know, we edit it down, you know, add the ad spots in, things like that.
And what's the size of the team doing this?
So we have a production manager, digital marketing manager now. Of course, she manages herself, I guess. But yeah, so she's in charge of digital marketing. So I guess she's a digital marketer. We have 2 editors and 4 show notes writers.
That's impressive. I mean, it's not a very big team
Yeah.
to pull this off. That's very good.
Yeah, and I gave all of the show notes writers a raise, and basically said, "You're going to be doing all of this other stuff now
Right.
for each of the episodes."
Yes.
And so, and they all went, "Okay."
Right.
They were happy to get more money, so it worked out. But yeah, it was basically with the promise that there are these other couple of things that I'm going to want you to do that are coming down the pipe.
Right.
So everyone was pretty happy with that. But yeah, and then we've also been working on a system for managing the podcasts. The MVP is pretty close to ready for us to start moving shows onto. And I think that's going to be one of the focuses for Q4
Mhm.
is just, getting all of the shows over there and running more or less seamlessly on the new platform.
Okay.
But yeah, I tend to like to focus on 2 or 3 things. And so I'm trying to figure out what the other 1 to 2 things that I should focus on are. If that's starting more shows, if that's filling the sponsorship pipeline for the shows that I already have, though that seems to be maintaining momentum at this point. I just
Right.
keep pushing it along and reaching out to 1 new person every week, and then make sure that I do all my follow-up, or every day, and then do all my follow-up.
Right.
And so that's more of a habit than something that I really need to focus deeply on. But yeah, I'm just trying to figure out what the biggest payoff would be, and I'm not sure where that is beyond moving things into this software and getting it ready to roll.
Right.
I would say that, I mean, you've got sort of a balanced priority between creating new shows and selling the spots on the shows, because
Mhm.
selling the spots on the shows generates you immediate revenue.
Yeah.
Creating new shows grows you in the future long-term revenue, right? So
Yeah. The one thing that I'm figuring out though is that like we started all these shows and things got a little bit tight for a little bit because I was paying everybody, basically, I increased the workload for my team by like 30-40%. So, and I had to pay for that. So
yeah, so maybe it makes sense to focus number 1 then. In that case, that makes a good deciding factor on filling the sponsorships
Yeah.
for the stuff that you've got right now. In fact,
Yeah.
really, I think where you want to get to, and maybe you're not quite there yet, but soon, is the point where you have someone that you're training that's shadowing you on all the sponsorship.
Sales.
Yeah, exactly. Everything that you're doing sponsorship wise, right? And that they eventually be like completely take over that,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because that's something that can be done. And when it sounds like you don't really have the budget to do that right now if it's been tight when you're starting new shows. So
Yeah. Things are starting to loosen a little bit, but it got tight there for about a month. So
but yeah, once you can do that, or even, I mean, even, well, I don't know, if you get that person, that if you could bring someone on and start training them, one benefit of that, even though it might cost you a little bit right now, is that let's say that they hit the proficiency point where they can do the sponsorship selling. Well, you don't step out. Instead, you both do it.
right.
And now you're able to, as long as you still have slots that you can sell, if you're not at, maximum capacity, then that's going to be a huge win if you can do that.
That's true. That is one thing that I hadn't really thought all the way through, was that, yeah, essentially, if I bring you somebody in and they're doing commission sales for sponsors, and yeah, and they don't sell anything, I just don't back off on what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And so then there's no immediate harm in having them around, because if they don't sell anything, they don't get paid.
Oh, well, they'll still consume some of your time, I'm guessing.
Yeah, fair enough.
You should train them though, have them shadow you for a while first so that you're.
Yeah.
Just curious, I mean, instead of focusing on like one show, like most people do, you decided to create multiple shows. is that, I mean, was there a specific reason for that, or it just happened to?
It was kind of an accident, honestly. So what the story is, we started Ruby Rogues in 2011 and it took off. I mean, we had no idea. We all thought, oh, this will be fun. We'll talk about Ruby every week. And it went gangbusters. It went crazy. It was a couple of years after Rails got really, really big.
Uh-huh.
And so it was still kind of riding that. It still had an upward trend and it was still riding the popularity. A lot of the startups in Silicon Valley were being built with Rails at that point because it was mature enough for people to be comfortable using it and was still, innovating and growing and things like that. And so anyway, so we kind of were riding that momentum. And then a friend of mine here in Utah came and said, I want a show like Ruby Rogues, except I want to do it about JavaScript.
Ah. Okay.
And I was like, okay, well, let me help you. And let me help you turned into, I don't have time for this, which turned into, okay, well, I'll just do it then. And so all of a sudden I had 3 shows because at the same time that we were having that conversation, I was like, well, if I'm going to start one on JavaScript, I'm freelancing. So I'm going to start one on freelancing because I have, I've made all the mistakes at this point.
Right.
So we started the freelancer show and then.
So freelancing for programmers.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that, so that one started and then I wanted to learn iOS development. So I started an iOS show. And then a couple of friends came to me and said they wanted a show on Angular and I told them to forget it. And they came back and I told them to forget it again. And they came back again and I finally gave in.
Uh-huh.
And so we started that show. And then, that's kind of where things ended up for a while. And then I hired a business coach a couple of years ago, Jamie Masters from Eventual Millionaire.
Yeah.
And she talked me into starting or doing more shows. I think she meant something more along the lines of what Manny told me to do as far as doing a second episode of JavaScript Jabber.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't get what she was saying. And so I started new shows instead.
Hang on. All I said was 2 more shows of JavaScript Jabber. How could she, or how could that not be clear?
No, what you said was clear. I think what she meant was essentially that same thing. But what I understood was, you should start another JavaScript show to create more inventory. And so I created my JavaScript story, my Ruby story, my Angular story. And then I started talking to people and figured out that they wanted shows on React and Elixir. So I started those and a Vue show. That was last year. And then that turned out to be pretty successful. And so, John kept pounding the hammer. So I finally we've started 5 new shows this year. And I realized that there are a lot of communities that are underserved when it comes to podcasts. And so I've been starting more and more and more shows. So, yeah. But initially it was all kind of accidental. Oh, I want to learn about that. Let's do a podcast on it.
Yeah.
That's a good way to go about it.
And once I had 3 shows, like having more shows was, once I got to 5, then I had to make a choice as to whether or not I was going to keep freelancing or keep doing the podcast because I didn't have time for both.
Right. So you gave up freelancing. Now this is your full-time gig.
Yeah. And the funny thing about that.
He's the non-programmer who talks about programming.
Yeah, pretty much. I actually went to my wife and I kind of wanted her to tell me to quit podcasting and go back to freelancing because it was safe. And she told me to do what I wanted.
Tough, man. Life is tough.
And so all of a sudden I didn't have any excuses. And so I went for what I wanted, and that was the podcasting. So
that's funny.
Yeah. But anyway, so that's kind of how we've ended up with so many shows. I think 2 of the other shows where people came to me and said, hey, I want to start a show on this. And I said, well, do it on Dev Chat and, we'll help you run it and find guests and, you know, cover some of the production costs and stuff like that. So
Cool.
So where are we? Okay.
but yeah, so that's how we wound up where we were. And I just kind of had to ramp up on making sure I had sponsors and everything when I went full time. And yeah, there have been a couple of slowdowns. I'll tell you that every time I have a slowdown in revenue, it's because I haven't been out there talking to people about sponsoring.
That's how it goes.
It's always my fault, and it's always that
Dude.
I quit working out at the very top of the funnel.
That's what's the name of Ready Fire Aim? I guess I've been talking about that one, or haven't been, by Michael Masterson, one of the Agora guys. That book is really good, but it's really good for a very specific set of businesses, which is information businesses like ours. And he really talks like he goes to town talking about 0 to 1 million. This is the phase where you just sell the hell out of everything. You really, that's your only job. Everything else is secondary compared to selling, marketing and selling. That's all you do, marketing, selling. 1 to 10 is when you actually have to think about new products and services to do more of the same that you've done, but with new products, new innovations. And 10 to 50 is more systems and processes and things like that. But again, that the initial stage is just nothing moves the business like selling does or marketing does. It's almost like as engineers, we're programmed to think that the product is all there is and you don't need to sell. But even if it's like a joint venture partnership that changes the game for the business, that's also marketing, that's also selling.
Right.
John, how did the flow thing go?
It looks like it's not very good. Like we might have 4 or 5 sales out of the whole thing. So
4 sales, and how much was your commission from that?
I think just under $2,000
per sale.
Yeah.
And it's still within the return window.
Like to return on the
30-day guarantee window.
There's no guarantee. There's no returns.
Okay.
Yeah. Not for something like this that's got a live component. So
what else are you guys doing this month?
we're going to promote something from 2000 Books. That's pretty much it. I'm reorganizing a bunch of stuff with Simple Programmer, like just cleaning things up, but I've got a list of things to go through. But yeah, I mean the big one was getting someone online for the affiliate promotions.
Yeah, you should definitely talk to Satya as well about something together.
Oh yeah.
Maybe down the line, or even as quickly as next month, because there's definitely synchronicity, like what you guys are doing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure.
I think Satya can sell, learn anything quickly or something, like market yourself as well. Because both of you guys are software developers, so it's like, why not?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, we'll have to figure out something for sure. I want to get the guy that's doing the affiliate things to also to invigorate some of the old products, probably the how to market yourself, and get that selling again.
You should raise the price on it. We've been talking about it, but it's really, I think it's almost like the price undercuts the whole thing. Like, when I think of something like that, I think like that's almost like you're telling people how to make more money, but then you're selling it away for only $100, in which case it's very difficult to justify the value of that product.
Yeah.
And people won't use it as much as people will if they buy it for $500.
Yeah, I agree.
So you charge higher prices when you have like month coaching call or something along that's like a group coaching call with it. you can charge a much, much, much higher price.
Yep, true.
I know you don't want to do that shit, but you're doing it for Bulldog community, so
Yeah, it's just not a sustainable model for this business. So, but all right, should we do our thoughts and wrap up here?
Well, I'm kind of curious because we've kind of talked about everybody's stuff, but Satya, is there anything you
Oh,
need
yeah.
us to help you with, Satya? Any ideas or things you're working on, or?
Well, for me, it is I'm tied up until for at least 3-4 months with course creation. So we did a Kickstarter campaign about 3 months back for AI courses, and that did very well. We raised about $500,000,
Oh, nice.
and then I mean, the course needs to be created, right? It was a pre-sale, and that is consuming all my time right now. And by January, by end of January, I think it will free up my time. Even though we have a small team to do that work, that's consuming a lot of time. So um, uh, yeah, so that's where I am at. And then there are other parts of the business where the delegation is done properly, so I don't have to be very involved. Like my consulting business, we talk about algorithms, what they need to implement, and things like that, and that's about it. They are very good. The people, engineers that we have hired, they are very good. So I don't have to do a lot of oversight. They are very good. And in the other business where we are using Photoshop Artist, etc., there also it is zero. It is one of those businesses where I have spent. It is a non-technical business also. It's nothing to do with programming or AI. So that business I've spent like eight hours total in the last 8 months. It's a small part of the business, but still, it takes care of itself. So those two parts are well delegated and well run. The course business is, unfortunately, the course is sold on my name, like I'm going to be producing the content. So all the videos have my voice. Um, so that's why it's taking time. But
see,
from
that's
yeah.
something I've been. Anyways, keep going, man.
Well,
Talk later.
so that will change. It was not an option for these the first 3 courses, but moving forward, I might want to. I will probably change. I will get good people to create the content, but I may not be the person delivering the course in that sense, recording the videos. It could be somebody else's voice and face.
Right.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's having like content creation is can become a nightmare at some point in the business.
Right.
And what having people to do content when you can be the strategic person in the business becomes a different game altogether.
Yeah. It's also
what-
the mental switch you have to make, that right now you're running the business, and then you have to make a mental switch and become the content creator. So that is it almost feels like in a single day it's impossible to do both those things. So a lot of things suffer because of that. Like I don't respond to emails for an entire day sometimes because I don't want to get distracted by other things. The whole day is spent on content creation, right? So that is the biggest problem, I think. The switch, making the context switch. That
I
is,
was I met with the guys at WealthFit. It's like a plural site for entrepreneurship / money and finance and investing, for personal investing, personal finance.
right.
And they are in the process of creating courses. They have like 60-70 courses right now, and they sell a membership for $49 a month.
Right.
It's a really, really well done. What they're going after is really nice. And like the founders themselves or the high level people, they are not involved with day-to-day content. And it was really amazing to watch like how they're able to, with minimum involvement on the founder's part. Like they literally have a very specific, writers and script writers and all those things to do specific things. And I was really amazed because I was like, man, how do you hire a script writer or a producer to do this stuff? They have no clue on what, they may not know anything about investing. They may not know anything about personal finance. How do you make that shit happen?
Right.
And I got a lot of really useful insights on how to operate a content machine,
Right.
where you're not the one who's constantly creating that. So
But there is also this other aspect of it that what do you want to do, right? So the teaching, I actually love teaching. So it is one of those things I want to do. It is just overwhelming right now, but it is something I want to do, not in this overwhelming way, right, where it becomes overwhelming. So that's why I'm slightly confused on that on that part, how to execute that. Because if I don't do this, right, it means that I'm doing all the grunt work needed to run the business, right? Instead, I could actually hire other people to do the business part, and focus on the things that I love to do, right?
So then the question becomes, the question of scalability comes into focus, right?
Yeah.
Because if you want to be the star, the business has a different reach compared to if you are okay with others being the stars while you are the person who actually executes the business or runs the business. Because if you are the star, I mean, we know that those businesses aren't really, they cap out, they max out, but
about 20. So they cap out at, there are two tiers. There are two tiers of people, right? One tier caps out at about $3 to $4 million. The other tier caps out at about $20 million.
There's definitely those businesses. I agree. Like we can talk about maybe John Lee Dumas and Pat Flynn's of the world who are doing maybe a couple of million, maybe 2 to 3 at best.
They're 2 to 3.
Yeah, right. But then there's Marie Forleo.
And I'm guessing Ramit Sethi would also be in the 20.
I don't know. It's hard to tell. Maybe he is, but Marie for sure is. But there's so few, man. Or maybe Brendon Burchard, who's a crazy man. Like I would not want to do what Brendon does. Like all day long, he just freaking creates courses and writes about personal development and thinks about, like, literally that's all he does. Like that's crazy, man, to me. Marie Forleo's business model is way, way, way better than Brendon Burchard's business model. Because she's much more strategic in the approach.
What about
and she only
Amy
sells.
Porterfield? What level is she?
She said she's talking about her goal this year is to be 10 million.
Yeah, see, that's there is it's not very far away, right? It is it probably requires a combination of things, but it's not.
Yeah, but would you still be in that personality space where you're constantly like doing all the things to make that 10 million, or would you rather be in a space where you have systems and process and people doing those things and you can be much more scalable in that? Okay, there's this, I was talking to John about it. There's this podcast called Beyond 8 Figures. These guys interview people who have 8-figure plus businesses. And one of the persons they interviewed is this girl who teaches authors, who teaches people how to write books and sell high ticket programs on the back end of those books. Literally, that's
an 8-figure business.
$20 million a year right now.
Wow. Okay.
She charges like around $10,000 to $20,000 per person, and she personally works less than 5 to 10 hours a week on the business.
Wow.
Yeah. So that changes, the dimensions of your life in some ways and what you do with your life. But not to say that she doesn't have to do those things anymore, but she's literally like, she's methodically out.
What's her
taken
name?
Out. Angela Lauria, the author incubator.
Okay.
Check it out. So it's literally like a $10,000, $20,000 program, and you sell 1,000 of those.
Right.
And you have a $20 million business.
Right.
And if you have systems for selling systems, she basically systemized everything at this point, all the content and all the sales process and stuff like that. So her focus is just building the team.
Right. It's slightly difficult in the in a technical space, right? In a technical space, people come to you for your technical expertise, and it shows. It's very easy to say who has written the content, right? They would make mistakes that somebody who knows what they are doing will not make, and those subtle things make a difference, right? Um,
Yeah.
so
But there's also the upside of it,
Yeah.
that once you build a platform and technology, you can allow other people to do those courses for you, or you don't have to be the face of the business anymore. You don't have to be the name of the business anymore. You don't have to have anything to, like, there are other people, other contributors, and other people who are creating
right,
value.
right.
And depending on how good the value is, in like, you could be the WealthFit model, or you could be the Udemy model, or so many different things, other than just being the expert model.
Yeah. So the thing that I am thinking about is that it is for me it is split, right? There are parts of the business I completely want to outsource. Like I was saying that the Photoshop business, it's a six-figure business, but I spent 8 hours total in 8 months over it,
Mm-hmm.
right? Uh, and that's exactly how it is set up, right? It is not a technical business. I tell the manager of the business that it's her show, and she does it, right? But this one is something that I do want to be involved in. uh, it's just that the way we sold it, the 3 courses instead of 1 course, it was it was responsible for the success of the thing, but it's also responsible for utter misery for 4 or 5 months. um, but that's 4 or 5 months. Maybe after this one, if we do a launch pre-sale like this, then I would not do 3 course bundles one at a time kind of thing. So that's the lesson learned. But it's you have to take your chances on something. At that time it was not feasible to do a 1 course thing. It would not sell the same level.
Mm.
So yeah, but yes, I understand completely that if this 3 course thing has to go to 12 courses, it is impossible for me to do all of those courses. But I would like to do 2 or 3 of those 12 courses.
Yeah. So partly it's like, I don't know how people get into that phase where they are able to scale that quickly, because but I have to believe that a lot of it is just the vision that you have for the business. Because
Right.
if your vision is constantly, I have to be the expert, there's no way you change that business model as like, oh, I'm not going to be the expert anymore, and I'm going to start bringing in new people. And then, so partly it's like, okay, well, you decide where you want to take your business in terms of long term, like 5 to 10 years down the line. Do you want to be the ultimate AI expert, or do you want to have the ultimate AI business?
Right. Well, so there are parts like the consulting business, etc. It is built on top of very good people doing the work, right? And there is this part of the business that I sort of cannot. I'm not letting it go yet. I need to be involved in this to give that.
So one of the things I learned from the WealthFit guys, which was something I've actually now parted into my business. That was the missing like component in some ways for me, because what I was doing was I was getting the writers to do the mind map and all that stuff, and then I would take the mind map and spend all my time trying to do a summary from it. What the WealthFit guys do is very interesting. They have a call with the author, like whoever the person is who's going to create a course. Actually, not the founders, but one of the copywriters, one of the writers will have a call with the author to understand what it is that they're selling or what they're trying to sell. The outline of the course in some way, like 60 to 90-minute call.
Mhm.
And from that, they will come up with like, okay, these are the summary, these are the bullet points or whatever. This is the
Right.
transcript.
Right.
then the three leadership guys, what they do is they go in and they identify, okay, this is the outline of the course, and these are the 5 things we'll talk about in the course. Now
Right.
go create a course.
Right.
Now go. So they basically take very high level feedback from the team.
Right.
They've identified these are the topics we'll talk about. These are the subheadings. These are the like they're literally doing the high level marketing thinking. Okay, this is the kind of stuff. This is
Yeah.
the subheading. This is subheading. And then they go back to their writers and producers and project managers saying, okay, go and build this whole thing out.
Right. So I'm doing some of it. Like when we write code, a lot of it is done by people like other teachers in the course. And then when I suppose I write the course is in both C++ and Python. If I write in one language, somebody else writes in the next language. The support is largely managed by other people in the course. So things like that. Yeah. So it is, it is not completely that I'm doing all of it, but it is consuming a lot of my time just because of the scope of the work. It will change eventually.
Yeah, I identify with a lot of this just in the sense that, I have hosts of the different shows and I'm not on all of the shows. And so it's, how do I manage these folks to get done what I need to get done? A lot of them aren't being paid anything.
Right.
So, how do I make sure that they're getting, whatever it is they want out of it? And yeah,
Interesting. Yeah.
finding the places where I can step back. Yeah.
Mhm.
And yeah, interestingly enough, I mean, I'm on more shows than anyone else, but I'm still not like there's no overarching personality on any of it.
Okay.
So
Do you need to be in any of the shows, Chuck?
typically I have to be around on some of the new ones for a while just to get a momentum.
But the old ones.
The older ones I probably could step off of and they'd be fine.
Okay, so that's really interesting. You said that because that, like, you are now in a phase where the value creation is the marketing and sales side of the business big time.
Yeah.
And if you let go of these roles, which are not really moving the dial for the business anymore, if you become the chief salesman and chief marketing officer of the business rather than the chief content officer of the business, and you see that as your role, the business probably will have a different trajectory because now all your focus is on content.
I like
Much as you
being
probably
on the
don't
shows that I'm on though.
want to. I figured that's what you're going to say, but that's the
Yeah.
distinction, right? Maybe you create a system where you are only there on one show a month or something like that.
Maybe I have thought about this. So
Business is not about doing what you like. You don't get to do what you like. That's why you start a business. No making videos, no podcasts, no.
no, I have been tempted to go to Ruby Rogues and JavaScript Jabber and basically say, hey guys, I'm going to show up like every other week or something.
You get to move the chess pieces around on the board. That's what your job is.
It's at least worth testing for a month and see what
Yeah.
response is like from people.
Well, to be perfectly honest, with my travel schedule, I've more or less done that the last few months.
Yeah.
I've probably been there about 50% of the time for Ruby Rogues. And nobody's really commented on it. I mean, that said, I did an episode on JavaScript Jabber that went out last week that was on the 10x engineer tweets. And I basically just ripped them apart. And I got a ton of feedback on that one. I had a ton of people coming out and saying they enjoyed it. Yeah. So. Oh.
But be careful about that statement, though. So there are effects that are delayed, right? I mean, you may think that, oh, nobody commented, but it did have a small impact.
Yeah.
And then you will notice it 2-3 months later. There is a slide, and those are the worst problems to detect because you would not know what causes this gradual slide.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so then the question in some ways becomes, what is the core value proposition of the business? Is it Chuck, the JavaScript expert,
No.
or is it is it a lot of JavaScript people talking about Java, but at the same time, the core value proposition is you are a media company,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
You are a media company that sells advertising compared to you're a content company that excels in a specific kind of learning. Like really, like it's a different business thinking, right?
Yeah.
Are you an education company? Are you a marketing company? Are you an advertising company? Are you a media company? Like all of those, they might share similar roles and responsibilities, but there's one thing that they do better, then that is what people come to them for. Udemy is an education company, and so is Marie Forleo is an education company.
Hmm.
But you can argue they're very different education companies. Like Marie Forleo is a personality. If Marie Forleo goes away tomorrow, there is no business. But Udemy is a marketing company. It's an education company, but literally Udemy's value add is very different from Marie Forleo's value add. It's very different from Brendon Burchard's value add. So you have to think of, as the entrepreneur, where do you want your value add to be? And that will limit or allow you to grow the business in some ways. Like, what is the focus of the founder? Like, what does the founder see as a business to be? Is the business a personality business, or is the business a media business, or is the business a marketing company like Agora or something like that, or is it a publishing company?
Yeah.
Well, for the point of this discussion, it is actually just two classes, right? It is whether it is a personality business or not, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there are other classifications, but for this discussion, that's the most important one.
That is true.
As long as it's a personality business, you're a technician.
Yeah,
That's
I mean,
also true.
Yeah. That's exactly true.
Yeah, I mean, as long as you consider the business a personality business and you want to be the personality in the business, you are stuck in the business. No matter what level or what percentage, you are still stuck in the business. But if you allow that personality to go away, if you allow yourself to walk away from it, now you have a business that lives beyond yourself, that's scalable and that's sellable, and that changes the dynamics completely. Like we were talking about build a business, not a job. Did I tell you guys about the book?
Yeah, you've mentioned it a few times.
Oh my God, man. Really got to read that one. I mean, it's along the same lines of some of the other ones, but it kind of re-emphasized the same point again and again, that if you are building a business as you being the only person and you don't have the systems and the people, you don't have a multiple. You literally, like, John, I was looking at his multiples, and he literally said for like something like Simple Programmer, where there's a personality involved, you have 1x.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Well, forget I said anything. I've got to go. Bye. Yeah. All right. No, I get what you're saying.
All right, we should wrap this up.
Yeah. I've got to take off soon.
Yeah. I got to go too.
But yeah, I mean, I have been thinking along these lines. I've been busy and I've justified not thinking about it to the point where I'm actually going to do anything about it. Thoughts?
And the only reason I bring it up is because it just to reemphasize to myself that I need to do that. So I'm not doing anything better than you guys are. I'm stuck in the same freaking rigmarole. But like, the reason why I make this discussion is so that I can like keep pounding it into my head that I can't keep doing it the way I'm doing right now, trying to just keep doing these summaries. So that's my thought for the week.
There you go.
Go ahead, John.
All right. My thought is that you need to have a minimal plan. Like, and I always talk about this, but I hardly ever do it, which is, especially when traveling is when it comes up for me. It's like, because I've been gone for a week, and I mean, I caught up with the emails and stuff, but I didn't really have a minimal plan of what's likely to happen. Like, I wasn't able to, I did all my runs, of course I needed to, but wasn't able to hit the gym, and I wasn't able to get some of the stuff done that I needed to get done during that week because I didn't have that minimal plan of. And what I mean by minimal plan is this: is it's like, what is the minimum what's the low bar, right? A lot of times we set our plans based on the high bar or the average bar, but what's the low bar? Like, what's the minimal amount of things that you're going to get done? And it's important to have that, because otherwise you make an optimistic viewpoint, especially when you're traveling, right? Or you have any kind of time constraint. And when you have the optimistic viewpoint, you basically, you're more likely to get nothing done, or a very, very minimal amount. Whereas if you have a minimal bar and it's small, then you're like, okay, well, I won't, but like let's take, just for instance, just like not going to the gym and lifting, right? So the reason why I wasn't able to do that last week, even though I ran, whatever, 40 or 50 miles when I was traveling, was because I was planning on going to the gym and doing my normal lifting routine for 2 hours. But if I had a minimal bar and I was like, well, if I can, I'll go to the gym and lift for 2 hours. But my minimal bar, what I will do today for sure is I'll go and do like 100 push-ups and, whatever it was, or I'll, hit do a 30-minute workout at like a clubhouse in a, community area, right? And just hit, these exact things. If I had that, then I would have accomplished that for sure. So it's the same thing, you could apply it to like so many different areas. So have a minimal plan.
Yeah, that makes sense. I've been listening to Andy Frisella, and he talks about the power list. And so it's 5 things that you absolutely, no matter what, are going to get done today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
The
it's
power
same,
list.
yeah, that's what he calls it.
Yeah.
And yeah, anyway, so that's, it's the same kind of idea, right?
Yeah.
So yeah. I mean, my thought is basically around the idea of the mastermind, and that's just, find people whose opinions you trust that you can get advice from. I mean, I came in basically planning on asking, okay, what do I focus on this 12-week year? Because I wasn't seeing a couple of things clearly, and I knew I wasn't, right? And so it was like, okay, what are my other priorities? What things do I need to focus on? And the other thing that I've been looking at lately, I've been reading a book called All In, and it's about company culture. And so I'm going to be pushing the same kinds of things down to my team and basically making them come up with a 12-week year for their area of responsibility in the company, and, holding them accountable and things like that, and kind of leaning on the values that we have as a company and making sure that, we're living by them. And a lot of that just comes out of the person who's being a leader in the company. And if you're not going to do it, then the people that work for you aren't going to do it. And at the same time, so you guys are doing this for me, and I'm going to be doing this for the people that work for me, is that focused, okay, what am I not seeing clearly? What do we need to work on? What do we need to focus on? And how do we move ahead? So, yeah.
So my thoughts are, one of the things is that, when you're running a small business, it is very different than running a Silicon Valley business, right? So my previous business was a VC funded business. It is, it doesn't provide the same level of freedom at all. It is, even if you're a founder, you are an employee of the company, you go and show up at the office every day, and you're held accountable by the board. So one of the things that you could think about while running a small business to get ideas is do the opposite, at least test the opposite of what Silicon Valley tells you to do, right? An idea would be that, move fast and break things, right? You could flip it around and say that move slow and fix things, right? So that at least the ideas are worth testing. Those ideas are worth testing. Whatever Silicon Valley says, take the opposite view and see whether that has merit. And it goes a long way. For example, Silicon Valley says that if, $1 billion, $1 million is not cool, $1 billion is cool, right? If you take the opposite view, you say $1 million is cool, right? And then you are in a space where you're not competing with a lot of, really hard driving Silicon Valley types, right? Then you're in a space like in AI. There are a lot of people who want to build $1 billion company. There are very, very few people who want to build a $10 million business, right?
Mhm.
So you're competing in the space where nobody is there, right? So that is a thought, that if you want to get ideas, take the opposite view of what Silicon Valley says and see whether it has merit.
I like that, actually. That's pretty
Yep.
good.
Yeah, Gary Vee talks about this idea in a little bit different way, where he essentially explains this is how traditional marketing has always worked, and we did this differently, or we did this completely reverse of what they did, and it turns out that that's what's made us popular. That's what's made us wildly successful, is that we challenged the thinking, experimented with it, and figured out what worked and what didn't. So
Yeah, the thing is that the wisdom of the crowd is almost always right, but all the gains are to be made when it is not right. So
Right.
if crowd believes a certain way, it's usually right. I mean, there is wisdom in the crowd, but if you take the opposite, if you test the opposite view just to test it and see if there is something there, and if it turns out that there is something there, the wisdom of the crowd is not correct, because they may be getting their knowledge from just a few sources, right?
Right.
Then you have an edge there.
yep.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
All right. We'll talk to you guys next week then.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Sounds good. Thank you.